Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. It's still light out, so it doesn't quite feel like evening. It's nice. Welcome to Anjac's Fundamentals for Effective Environmental Commissions, or for baseball fans out there, this is spring training. So welcome. We're glad to have you. We've got robust attendance throughout this series. One of the things we want to let everybody know is if you do miss this, or you've got fellow EC members or Green Team members or Land Use Board members who you think would like to listen to any of these trainings, they will all be sent out to everyone who registered for these programs. And so you can share those links and they will be posted on YouTube at a later date. If you have any questions for us throughout the session, please post them in the Q&A. Is that right, Liz? That's what we're going to use, the Q&A tonight?
Yes, yes, please.
So please use the Q&A. That's easier for us to track and to respond to people. If we don't get to your question, or you have a question about something that's unrelated, you can go ahead and email us tonight or always at info@anjac.org. That's info@anjac.org. That is a highly monitored email account, and we will get your question to the right staff member who can best answer it. So, in case I forgot to say, for those of you who I don't know, my name is Jennifer Coffey, and I have the great pleasure of serving as the executive director of ANJAC. And here with me this evening, we have Elizabeth Ritter, Sheila Baker Grajal, and Randy Rothmel, who are going to present and answer your questions and manage this webinar this evening. I know I'm looking at the participants, and we have lots of friends and a few additional staff members on as participants as well. So thank you for joining us. And again, if you've got questions tonight, use the Q&A or email us at info@anjac.org. And for those of you who may be new to ANJAC, I want you to know that we are your resource organization. We are here for you in all the ways that you need in your service to your municipality as an environmental commissioner. And of course, for those of you who are here as Green Team members, Open Space members, and Land Use Board members. ANJAC's board updated our mission statement in late 2022 to reflect the work that we have been doing and that we're committed to continuing to do to ensure equitable and healthy communities, as well as to ensure the protection and restoration of our shared natural resources. So here you are, as my college professors used to say, make sure you're in the right room. And we are here at spring training, our fundamentals course. This evening, we're going to talk about powers and responsibilities for ECs. So if you found yourself on an EC or have been on your EC for a while and are saying to yourself, what the heck does that mean? And what am I legally responsible for? And what should I be doing? This is the right room for you. Tomorrow, we've had a little bit of a rearrangement of scheduling. So if you looked at one of our early promos, you might notice that there's some differences. So tomorrow at noon, we're going to be talking about stormwater resources and regulations with Dr. Chris Abrupta from Rutgers, and we're thrilled to have him. He is one of our best partners coming in to talk to us about all things stormwater management. He's an engineer and a PhD and can really walk you through how the heck do I review a stormwater plan when I'm not an engineer? And what do all those squiggly lines mean? And what do those numbers on that plan mean? So we're going to get into that, as well as some MS4 permits. If you don't know what an MS4 permit, we're going to do some of that tomorrow in terms of your obligations as an EC member. Then tomorrow evening, I will be speaking about master plans, ordinances, and your ERI, NRI. And then on Thursday, if I've got my days correct, we are going to be with Randy and Cheryl talking about community outreach and communications for ECs. We also have an in-person networking session, and we're going to be talking about site plan applications on April 13th. So we're going to open up those big maps and get some hands-on experience. Stay tuned. We're opening up the registration for that very soon if we haven't already. And so you will see that be sent out, the location and the time and all those kind of details are coming to you. Again, for those of you who are new or maybe don't interact with ANJAC all that much, ANJAC is here for you. We are your resource organization. We have a resource center staffed with professionals. We have lots of materials. We are working on updating our website and getting many of those materials, including model ordinances, stewardship suggestions, manuals, etc., pamphlets for public education for when you do tabling events at farmers markets, Earth Day fairs, spring festivals, all summer long into harvest season this fall. We have webinars and roundtables all year long, so check out our website. We are updating our calendar, and I'm going to talk about a few of those in a minute. We also have a quarterly magazine where we highlight the work that you're doing and the challenges that you're having so that you can share your experiences and successes and lessons learned with other environmental commissions. There are about 300 active ECs across the state of New Jersey, so I know sometimes it can feel lonely working in your community, especially if you have night meetings and there are 5 or 7 of you by yourselves, but you have a whole community and we're here to connect you to them. You're here at your fundamentals course. So this is all the basics you need to know for serving on an EC. And also, please mark your calendars for the Environmental Congress. This is a day-long educational conference, networking, hundreds of advocates, EC members, nonprofit representatives, state staff gather at our annual Environmental Congress. This will be our 51st this year on September 27th. So stay tuned, but please mark your calendars for September 27th. That said, we do a lot of work at the local level supporting you, our more than 300 active environmental commissions. It's more than 5,000 people that we're networked with, but we are also your voice in Trenton. So when we hear commonality of struggle or challenges or desires among municipalities, we then raise that to the legislature, the governor's office, and the DEP. So we are there for you as your advocate in Trenton as well. We also have an open space program, open space grant program. And so that is now open. You can go ahead and check this out on our website. Excuse me, one second. Apologies. And so these are grants that are open to environmental commissions for up to $1,500 to advance open space and stewardship and help raise the profile of your EC and the work that you do. We are thrilled to be able to offer a variety of grants this year. We'll probably be able to make 15, 16, 17 grants. And this is due to the generous sponsorship of those who donate to the Candace McKee Ashman, our founding executive director, the memorial fund that we have in honor of her, as well as the LSRPA Foundation and Viola Water. So thank you to those who are making this grant program possible. In addition to the small grants that we offer for up to $1,500 to do open space work, we work intensely with environmental commissions who are experiencing flooding in their town and for which we can secure larger grants through funding from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, which is funded by, believe it or not, hold your breath, Congress. So through the Delaware Watershed Conservation Program, Congress funds, I believe it's up to $16 million worth of projects in the Delaware River Basin. So that's New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And we're thrilled to be partnering with ECs to do additional work. We also have some funding from the DEP through a variety of resources that they have to do work in the South Jersey area this year. So stay tuned for more on those projects. And if the funding is available and expands, we're happy to partner with more ECs. That said, we also ask that you note our advertising that's coming up for our Lechner Scholarship. We have $1,200 scholarship for a college student in his or her junior or senior year, someone who is coming up in the next generation and helping us protect and restore our natural resources. So you'll see that advertised if you're on our emails. If you don't get our emails, again, you can contact us at info@anjac.org and we'll be sure to get you on our list. That said, all of our work that we do, being an advocate for you in Trenton, the support we provide locally, our environmental congress, our ANJAC Report quarterly magazine, programs like this are made possible because of the memberships from environmental commissions. And if you don't know if your municipality is a member, please let us know. Georgia Madiba is our membership manager, and you can also email us again at info@anjac.org. And so members are able to attend programs like this at no additional charge. So we would encourage you to make sure that your municipality is a member of ANJAC. And of course, our individual donors, which we are incredibly grateful for, our foundation support, and our corporate sponsors. In 2024, some of our policies and our programs wrapped around those policies are going to be focused on the MS4 permit. That's the municipal separate storm sewer permit that each municipality has. And so ECs have a role to play in community outreach, education, mapping, and planning to improve water quality. We're going to be doing more work on plastic pollution reduction and, as always, working to combat climate change to become more resilient, as well as to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to keep the climate crisis from getting worse. These are our programs in April that we have coming up for you. And so we encourage you to register, check them out on our website at the calendar section under events. All members attend these programs at no additional charge. So the Greenways info session is all about the Hudson Essex Greenway. I have shortened it to be Hussex unintentionally. So the Hudson Essex Greenway. And we're thrilled to be having an info session on that. And then we're talking about more renewable energy on the 9th, in-person networking. It'll be great to see all your faces on the 13th. And then our Earth Day celebration is on the 25th, and we have a presentation of environmental art and advocacy, and we're going to have a great conversation. We've got some representatives from an art gallery in New York that are coming to host this program for you. So we invite you to come, bring your favorite beverage, and hang out and celebrate a belated Earth Day with us on April 25th. That said, this is how you stay in touch with us. I'm sure many of you already know this. Follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. We encourage you to use this QR code. So for those of you who don't know how to use it, you take your phone and you open the camera app and you go ahead and shoot that QR code, and it should take you to a website. And what that'll do for you is take you to a member survey. Our priority is to meet your needs. And so understanding what your needs are will help us to best create programs and resources that do what you need them to do. So please do take our member survey. We'll be repeating this QR code throughout the 4 sessions that we have this week with the fundamentals. And with that, I just want to say thank you to our staff, thank you to our board, thank you to all of the EC members who serve throughout the state. We understand that you have many obligations with family, with jobs, and we appreciate you taking this on to serve your community and serve your environment. And we are here for you to help in the best ways that we possibly can. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Sheila Baker-Gurgel, who is going to present to us tonight and take over the screen sharing from here. So Sheila, it should be all yours. Sheila is our resource center manager and one of the people who will be responding to any inquiries that you send us at that email that I've noted. All right, thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Randy and Liz. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to all of you for showing up, taking time out of your busy schedules to get some fundamental training for your role as an environmental commissioner. So tonight we're going to be doing a brief overview of the EC law and the powers and responsibilities of an environmental commission. So Liz, if you could launch this, we have our first poll question. We're just curious among the people who are in the virtual room to see how long you have served on your EC. So do you see that, Liz?
I'm looking for them. I can't find it. Oh, I got it. Sorry. Here we go. This is poll question number 1, right?
Yes. So we'll just do this for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 seconds. It's very easy. You obviously know the answer. But it's looking like we have a nice mix of people in the room. So let's see. If you haven't had a chance, we'll be closing the poll in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
I will share the results.
Thank you.
Can you see them?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me picture that. I hope everybody can see that. So we've got a nice mix. We've got people who've been, an environmental commissioner for more than 6 years. We've got people who are not on an EC presently. And we've got, some 0 to 1. We got 29% of people who are brand new to environmental commissioning. So thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for doing your volunteer duty. Thanks a lot. So let's see, we can stop sharing that. And I will continue. Let's see. All right, so what the law requires. So as you probably already discovered, commissions are appointed by the mayor, or in some cases, the governing body, to advise local government on the best ways to safeguard the town's environment. And unlike the planning board and the zoning board of adjustment, you don't get to make land use decisions on behalf of the municipality, but you do get to serve in an advisory capacity. And this has an enormous value in making sure that the environmental concerns are always have local government's attention. And this is a Metuchen process for a greenway project.
Sheila, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your sound is going in and out and it's a little staticky.
Okay, so I've turned it all the way up. Can you hear that now?
I think that's better.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's better. Yeah.
All right. So moving on. So the state of New Jersey considers the work of environmental commissions so important that it created a statute specifically establishing the role of environmental commissions and its powers. It specifically states that a commission shall have 5 to 7 members and 2 alternates. The alternate members do not get to vote unless they are filling in for a regular member. But one of the commission members should also be a planning board member. We often refer to this person as the planning board liaison. Each town should have an ordinance establishing its environmental commission and its roles and responsibilities. Typically, the ordinance will use some of the same language that is in the statute. You can find the complete statute in your environmental commissioner's handbook. And I think that link will be dropped into the chat right now. And you can also, let's see, find it on our website. So let's move on. So I want to discuss different kinds of formats. So this is Cranford, and Cranford has a lot of associate members. You can see there are quite a few people listed here. That's more than the 5 to 7 that you would typically have. But some of them are associate or non-voting members, but all of them get to discuss and to do the work. So you can have various people sitting on your commission. You can have, in addition to your appointed members, you will have typically a liaison to the governing body. You see here, they have a fire prevention official, they have a health officer or sanitarian. When I was on an environmental advisory committee in Maplewood, we used to also have our director of public works and an engineer. So it's just nice. The more people that you can get from the township, the people who are working at your town hall, city hall, and your elected officials, the more success that you will experience. And so Wyckoff has another kind of format. They have junior commissioners. So each year they have 3 different junior commissioners, and they typically have a specific project that they're working on. So you can see here, that's from their slide decks for their presentations. There's one that where there is a digital library, one is an anti-idling project, and one is the Hidden Treasures, which is a clothing reuse project. But it's kind of nice for these junior commissioners to have a specific project to work on so that they can have something to show for all their work when they're done with their time on the commission. So your first homework assignment, I'm going to give a couple of homework assignments, and don't worry, there will be a slide at the end indicating what they are. But the first one is just to find your establishing ordinance. Just do a quick Google search, find your establishing ordinance, and see what's written in there, so you can get more familiar with it. So what's the difference between an environmental commission, a committee, and green team? So usually the environmental commissions are the ones that are established, well, not usually, always. The environmental commission is established by ordinance. So when you're Googling to find out about your establishing ordinance, you will find that. If you're a committee, you may not have an establishing ordinance. It may be a resolution, but oftentimes the committees also have an ordinance that establishes them. And then you also have green teams, which are usually established by a resolution. And oftentimes there's a lot of, there's a lot of the same work that these groups are doing. So sometimes you'll have, for instance, in Ewing, they have a combined green team and environmental commission, or sometimes the green team is a subset of the members of the environmental commission. So there are all kinds of ways that these groups can work together. So what the law requires, so it requires rolling 3-year terms, unless you've just been established. That in that case, it would be a 1 or 2 or a 3-year term, because the idea is to have people's terms expire not all at the same time, so that you have some stability in your organization. And people often renew, but it just, after 3 years, it gives people time to reevaluate if they're able to continue meeting the commitment. Commissions are subject to the Sunshine Law, and I believe some links will be dropped into the chat right now about this. So the the Sunshine Law means that you have to advertise your meetings in advance, just like the planning board has to, or the town council. It also means that anytime you have members of your commission present at any meeting or function, it must be advertised. So a quorum would be a simple majority of appointed members. So if you were, say, if you have your 7 members and 4 of them are going to be somewhere, you need to have that advertised as being that that you will be together at a meeting. And a quick side note, you want to be careful not to discuss commission business in your emails, because that's also subject to the Sunshine Law. Because if you have a quorum of members who are participating in an email discussion back and forth, and the public isn't aware of it and are not invited to participate, then that would be in violation of the Sunshine Law. So, just discussing, who's going to be at the meeting, are you going to be able to make it next week, or something like that, that is not major business, but discussing issues that that are of more consequence than just scheduling should be always done in an open kind of forum. So you would save that for your actual meetings. So the statute also states that you shall keep records of your meetings and make an annual report to the governing body. So you'll be taking minutes. And hopefully you can put your agendas and your minutes up on the township website, or if you have your own website, put it on your own website. But just getting that information out there, the more transparent you are, the more people will be aware of what you're doing, and the more willing and motivated they will be to help out and become involved. And it also states that you shall the Environmental Commission shall keep an index of open areas, both publicly and privately owned, including open marshlands, swamps, and other wetlands, in order to obtain information on the proper use of such areas. So, another of the Commission's powers described in the enabling statute is to study and make recommendations on natural resources, noise, landscape protection, and environmental appearance, as well as plants and wildlife. So you can see it gives you a pretty broad area of stewardship. The enabling statute also says that you should not only create an index of open space, but also recommend to the municipality plans and programs regarding the use of such areas to be included in the master plan. So that might typically take the form of an open space plan, which gets adopted into the master plan. Many commissions have taken an active role in their town's open space plans. So this brings us to homework assignment number 2, which is to look for your open space plan or your open space index. So let's see. So another really important role for the Environmental Commission is developing the town's environmental resource inventory or natural resource inventory. So that's the ERI or the NRI. So the ERI or the NRI is a compilation of maps, lists, and descriptions of all the town's environmental features and resources. And it should serve as a foundation and documentation for resource protection ordinances, land use planning, and reviewing site plans. Every town should have one, although many don't. If you're in the Highlands region, they have already done it for you. So you could look into that. They have mapped out the whole Highlands region for environmental resource inventory purposes. So that is your third homework assignment, is to find your ERI or NRI, see if you have one, and look to see when was the last time it was updated. They typically should be updated every 10 years, if not sooner. Sometimes they get updated on a more frequent basis, but 10 years, you should definitely be looking into updating it. And we'll be talking more about ERIs in one of our later sessions this week. So another thing that the commissions can do is assist in stormwater education and outreach for the MS4 permit. So there are 5 categories. Here's listed category 5, but the categories that they have for outreach and education are general public outreach, targeted audiences outreach, schools and youth education, watershed, regional collaboration, and then this 5th one, community involvement and activities. And all these activities are given different point system, and you have to get a certain number of points, and you can't do them all in one area. They have to be for 3 of the different categories, 3 out of the 5 categories. So this would be another piece of homework you could do. This is for extra credit work, really. But before our stormwater discussion tomorrow, find out who your town's designated stormwater manager is, and find out, Google and see if you can find your town's stormwater management page, because they should hopefully have a page up there describing the various activities that they do for stormwater management. Excuse me. So we come up to poll question number 2, which is, which requires an ordinance to be established? Is it an environmental commission, an environmental committee? Is it a green team, or is it some kind of combination of those? So if you could go ahead and give us your answers. Excuse me. Okay. We can probably close it out in about 5 seconds. All right. Great. So you guys got it. It's an environmental commission. That was kind of a trick question. It was the which requires an ordinance to be established, and all of them could have an ordinance to be established, but it is not required for any but the environmental commission. Okay, thank you. All right, so so getting organized. So you have an environmental commission and you need to get organized. You need a mission statement. So we're looking at a couple of mission statements here. The highlights are all mine. And you can see when you're writing your EC mission statement, you might be able to borrow language from your establishing ordinance, because that would indicate what is important to your municipality. While the state statute lays out the powers of environmental commissions, the stated mission of each EC should reflect the unique character and the needs of that particular municipality. And this provides a good opportunity to sit down with the mayor and council and agree on what the EC should be focusing on in your town. So you can see here, excuse me, for the borough of Paramus, they're talking about protecting and advising and educating and inspiring. So these are all lofty goals. And here we have Bloomfield. So they're talking also advising and collaborating. And I like that they kind of pull out here, collaborating with businesses, residents, and neighboring communities. So, you know, they're making sure that they're all working together to work on the effective and efficient use of natural ecosystems, social systems, and financial resources. And then Bloomfield gets down into a little more of the detail of their objectives. So they talk about, you know, the studies and recommendations that they should make, about reviewing and commenting on development proposals, identifying important environmental goals for the township, supporting education in public and local government, and encouraging development to include maintenance and conservation of green space, open space, and wetlands. So I really like that because a lot of times people forget about the maintenance part. So, maintenance is a really important part of stewardship. So here we have Summit Environmental Commission, and they talk about leadership and vision and in advising the city of Summit. And then we have, so Mantoloking is down on, the Barnegat Peninsula. And so you can see here that it's reflected, they're not just talking about the land, they're talking about the bay and the ocean and the surrounding waters, because that is what's important to them. So EC bylaws. So how does an EC operate? There are attendance requirements, there are meeting requirements and cancellation policies, subcommittees and advisory member appointments, preparation and distribution of meeting minutes, and there's other record keeping requirements. So here's some sample bylaws for Jersey City. This section of the bylaws addresses scheduling of meetings and complying with the Sunshine Law. You'll notice that it allows not more than 5 minutes of public comment per person, which can really help move things along. You don't really want to have, sometimes I wouldn't want to say somebody's hijacking a meeting, but sometimes someone will get up and there's a lot of passion and they kind of want to give a history of how they came to be interested or involved in a particular issue, and then they get to the question. So limiting it to whatever time frame works for you guys, it can be very helpful to make sure that your meetings can continue apace. So here we have Hamilton Township, and they discuss how the mayor may appoint 4 members for a term of 1 year as associates. So they can have these 1-year slots of associate members that can roll through the commission and participate. They also address unexcused absences. So, it seems maybe a little harsh to bring that up to people, but if a member is missing from meetings, maybe for quite a few meetings, then it just gives you, you can go to the bylaws and have a discussion with them and say, if you're not able to meet with this commitment at this time, just let us know. And then you can have someone come in to replace them. So now we're going to talk about EC goals, and we'll be talking more about those on Thursday evening. So I'll just touch on them lightly here. I don't know if any of you were able to participate in our January session, but we had an EC goals session in January. And so if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see there were listed items to review annually. And so, at the beginning of the year, you'll kind of look over your environmental ordinances, maybe look at your MS4 permit, what kind of public engagement have you done, do you need to do, look at your ERI, does that need to be updated? And then we also have a to-do list, excuse me. So it goes month by month on what you should be doing. So for instance, March would probably say that you should be signing up for your fundamentals for effective environmental commissions. And you can see in January, it's committee reorganization, begin planning for your spring cleanup, setting your annual goals and things like that. So let's see. So now we're going to talk about how to become an influential EC. So one thing you want to do is you want to give elected officials some easy wins. A good way to go about this is to have a small project that your mayor and council can use as a photo or publicity opportunity, excuse me, for the town. And as Jen had mentioned earlier, ANJAC gives small grants for this very purpose. So you could do a small demonstration project in your town. We also have resources such as movies and games that can be used for outreach. I'll go into this more in a discussion of resources later. Planning a movie night and promoting it costs no money and allows your elected officials to come and speak to residents directly about environmental issues. You can communicate with them ahead of time and plan for a few minutes for them to address your constituents. And also you want to attend council, town council, town committee meetings. Just showing your face can make a difference and demonstrate to your officials that you're invested in the town. And it will also give you unique insight into what is happening in the town and allow you to speak publicly in support or in opposition of certain projects. So you want to do your research ahead of time and see what's on the agenda, because I know it's, you guys are already giving your free time in the evenings to go to your environmental committee meetings, and it's difficult to fit all these meetings in the evening. But do your research ahead of time, and then go to the ones where there are issues that you want to speak on. So you don't have to go to every meeting, but just check and see what's on the agenda and choose some times that you can attend. Excuse me. And you want to be willing to listen and to learn. So this goes along with attending meetings. Sometimes something as simple as asking a clarifying question about the budget or about a project at a council meeting goes a long way with your officials. And then thanks and spanks. This is a humorous term used in political organizing realm. It refers to holding your officials accountable, thanking them for doing well, and then holding them accountable for what they did if they don't. However, this is further down the road if you're starting out your relationship from the beginning. It's important to let your officials know beforehand what your stance is, whether it's in support of an ordinance or wanting a specific improvement for a site plan. They can't improve if you don't tell them. And finally, don't take it personally. More often than not, there are outside forces that control their political decisions, their budget pressures, their election realities. This doesn't mean you should stop advocating. It just means that if you don't succeed, it's not because of a personal failure. So relationships build success. You guys probably already know this. But you look at this, on the left-hand side, you've got, this is Caldwell, you got town council, administration, departments, boards, commissions. Over here, you've got schools involved in a Stop Idling campaign. And in the middle, we have the Adopt a Drain for Berkeley Heights. But this is a great example. Berkeley Heights did this Adopt a Drain program. And I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's a software that you can purchase. It's a service, and they will map out your town and the different drains, and then people can adopt the drains, and then maybe name them, and then they can take pictures. They can load data when they are cleaning them, how much they picked up from whichever time they cleaned, showing pictures before and after. And this is a really nice, successful program because they did it for 1 year, and they had a grant that paid for the fee for 1 year. I want to say it was in like the $2,000 range. And then after 1 year, the Department of Public Works said, we'll pay it from now on. They totally saw the value. It was super useful to them, and they got a lot out of it. And so they took over the program. So there are quite a few towns around New Jersey who are doing this Adopt a Drain. So if you're interested in that, and interested in any of these things we talk about, actually, just give us an email at info@anjec.org, and we will see how we can help you out. So creating trust. So this is a program in South Orange. This is the South Orange Environmental Commission. They partnered with the South Orange Village Center Alliance to create a parklet and rapid lounging program. And so what they did is they took some the generally unused spaces. This was actually, I think they took over a parking space for this, but it was right along the side of the street. And so it allowed people to have this area. They took underused areas and temporarily reimagined them as spaces to relax and enjoy nature in the middle of the city. And it was great because it gave people spots to gather and socialize and relax and eat from local eateries. And it wasn't year round. It was, just for part of the year when people can really enjoy being outside. So that was a really nice program. So let me see. So here, we'll talk about dealing with a challenging administration. So when you work within the boundaries of the ordinance that establish your ECs, you can garner public support. You can decide, how can my goals support your goals? So when you want to find out ways that you can work together where you both will be pursuing your goals. It's the importance of strong relationships with town personnel and governing bodies. Is just finding ways to work with them and ways that you can achieve success together. Maybe it's not on, your favorite project. They're not really quite there yet. So find projects that are of interest to them. And as mentioned in this bottom note, you could do like park cleanups and tree planting. Those are always, projects that most people can get behind, and people can see the results right away. So that's also really valuable. So here is poll question number 3: is who should an EC reach out to for? I'm not even reading this whole thing right here. For business relationships and trust. Okay, for building relationships and trust. I couldn't, it was covered over. Oops, sorry, I need to go back up. Sorry, I gotta get back. Here we go. So, do you go to the general public, town council, schools, businesses, clubs, organizations, or all of the above? So great. So we could probably close out the poll in 5 seconds. And it is all of the above. So any of those are correct, and all of the above is correct. So, but really, it's like everything else in life is that, it's about relationships. And so you really want to work on those relationships. Oops, excuse me. All right, so we come to the annual report and what it should include. So you'll do your annual report, maybe start thinking about it in November of each year, have it done in December. And it should include a roster of members, the meeting dates for the year, list of activities and accomplishments, and goals for the coming year. And we're going to look at a couple of examples. And one thing, both of these, both Somerville and our next example, they presented them in front of their governing body, which is what we highly recommend you do. You finish up your year. You've been working really hard all year, and you should be proud of what you've achieved, and you want to go and share that with the governing body so that they know what you've been doing. So, your annual report could have your mission statement, membership, your partners, your communication, social media strategy, all of this stuff. I like the self-assessment and total volunteer hours that the Somerville Environmental Commission included, because they kind of broke down how many volunteer hours they had contributed, and also the grants and funding that they had achieved for the township. And that really, that's very powerful. And when you're speaking to your elected officials, so they can see the value of what you're doing. And the Ringwood Environmental Commission, they also, you can see in the bottom left hand that they prepared this. It was before the mayor and the borough council, and they presented it to them. And they also included their environmental resource inventory, because they updated that during the year, and that's it's a large task, and one they should definitely be proud of, and one that's so valuable. So the more people that can learn about this resource, the ERI, the better. So that is what they did. So the EC budget, this is what you should. EC budgets range from, a few $100s, or honestly probably zero, to several thousand, depending on your goals and the year and what the municipality is willing to invest. It's important to know what your town's budget cycle is and be ready when the time comes to make the case for the funds that you need. So, we have right up there at the top are ANJAC dues. You also, other courses and conferences that you want to participate in, supplies for programs and events. If you have to hire an environmental consultant for something, that would be included. Your website costs, printing. So one thing I wanted to mention about printing is you could maybe go to your town hall and speak with the clerk, or someone in the clerk's office, and just ask if they can do printing for you, because we used to do that, and that was really super helpful. You have like 50 or 100 flyers you have to make for something, and we would drop it off and they would print it up, and it was really very helpful. And it gave us a nice time to get to know our staff, so that's also a bonus. So now we have our ANJAC resources. So many of you may be familiar with these. We have all kinds of displays, games, DVDs, excuse me. And I will kind of touch on all of these. And Randy will be dropping some links into the chat that has links for these various things. So we have displays and games. We have habitat protection, green infrastructure, Plink the Plastic, the stormwater, we have stormwater displays, green infrastructure, climate change pinball, the wheel of knowledge. We have some new handouts that are available. We have a bunch of trifold brochures that we designed that you can have printed up and you can use while you're out when you're tabling in your municipality. And they're about let's see, what are they about? Like environmental resource inventory, green infrastructure. Anyway, you'll find them. We have quite a few. And we also have documentaries that you can borrow. So you have a plastic ocean, poison waters, flow, kilowatt hours. We have a variety of them. Excuse me. And you are able to screen them. We have the screening rights, so you don't have to pay additionally to screen them in public. So here's the wheel of knowledge. And so you can have it either be cut your carbon footprint or cut your water footprint. And people spin the thing and they come across a particular subject, and then you can look it up and ask them questions. And it's just great because you get to have really good conversations with people. And people like games. There's this Plink the Plastic game, climate change pinball. We have a whole variety. So here you can see, how they could appear. So you can borrow these from us. So you just contact us at info@anjec.org, and we'll put you on the calendar and reserve them for you. And then we figure out how to get them to you. Because we have staff who live in various parts of the state, and so we always figure out a way to get them to you. All right, and so we also have a lot of resource papers on all kinds of subjects. We have municipal tools for environmental protection, the Environmental Commissioner's Handbook, which all of you should have, hopefully, by now. We have different green infrastructure, resource papers, open space, site plan review, septic system, all kinds of stuff. So some more examples of that. These are some Jersey Waterworks resources. And these are some 4 information sheets that were put together by the Green Infrastructure Group at Jersey Waterworks, which is a statewide coalition. So it's how green infrastructure can improve climate resilience, its impact on equity, how it can be used to improve health, and how it can increase carbon sequestration. So you have all this information, and then on the other side are all the resources so that you can dig deeper into the subjects if that's what you'd like to do. So Jersey Waterworks also has Jersey Water Check and the water risk and equity maps. Let's see, we've got New Jersey Future Resources. So they have this new one, Understanding the New MS4 Permit, which is super useful. And I recommend you have a look at that. And what else do they have? They also have research reports. And then Rutgers has a lot of resources that are out there for you as well. We got Green Infrastructure Guidance, the Green Infrastructure Guidance Manual, Rain Garden Manual of New Jersey, and the street trees. And then these are all the movies that we have. This is a little out of order, excuse me. But as I said before, you just contact us at info@anjec.org, and you can borrow a movie for your movie screening. And then we have our YouTube channel, which we have over 100 videos, instructional videos on there, or webinars, and a lot of important information. And then on our website at anjec.org, we have past training resources page, which is great. And so after an event, you will see like a link for the webinar recording, and then you'll also see you could access the slide decks from the people who are presenting, and possibly the chat transcript or Q&A transcript as well. And then, as Jen mentioned earlier, we have our open space stewardship grants. And I believe the deadline is April 26th. So that's coming up. And it's a very simple application. You can see here over on the right here. This is the application. This is all it is. You fill in this, you just write your description, 900 words, one simple budget page, and that's it. So yes, our deadline is Friday, April 26, 2024. So you want to get those in by then. So here I promised you, these are your homework assignments. This is just don't stress about it. This is just if you want to give you, so you can get a little more out of the next few days. To find your EC's establishing ordinance, look for your open space plan or open space index, find your environmental resource inventory, find your town's stormwater management page, and find out who your town's stormwater manager is. So that's it. That's it for today. We're done with our EC powers. And then tomorrow you have stormwater plan review at noon. In the evening, ERI master plan and land use. On Thursday, marketing your EC and community engagement. And then on Saturday, April 13th at 9 a.m., we have our in-person session. And I really hope you guys can make it to that. That's at the Somerville Civic Center. So that is it for me. And keep in touch. These are our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is where we are. So, and also info@anjac.org always. So that is it.
Thanks, Sheila.
Right.
I do have some questions that have been posted, and I think it'd be good. I can read them to you, and whoever wants to answer. So Lorraine had said that her town has no environmental commission. It has an ordinance that defines an environmental commission, but there has never actually been one. If there's an ordinance, should there actually be a commission?
Well, yes, of course. There should. And I don't know if someone else wants to jump in, because I know we've been getting this challenge in some towns where you have the ordinance there. And so what you need to do is speak with your elected officials and find the one who's, most receptive, maybe to and discuss with them, could you please appoint some people to this, to the Environmental Commission? So
Absolutely. Jill is 100% right. And it would be good if you had a few people that you could give them the names of.
Yes.
Sometimes the governing bodies we have seen where, and we hope it won't happen to anybody here, where the way that they make the commission not do their work is they just don't appoint people when their terms expire. They don't appoint new people because if they're unhappy with something you might have done. It's silly, but you still can advocate for appointed. There is no law that punishes the governing body if they don't appoint people. You have to build that relationship and get them to do it. So
yeah, Liz is right, but it's also a consequence of some natural progression. So if you had a chair and a vice chair who have moved or have served for decades in some cases and have decided that it's time for them to take a break, sometimes the commission can lapse. And so what we can do is work with you and brainstorm. So if you and anybody else in your town are interested in kind of having the EC go through a renaissance, if you will, contact us at info@anjac.org and we can set up a brainstorming session with you. We've got ideas. This isn't the first time we've heard this. We've been around for 56 years now, so we've been through this before. We can get ideas on how to open the conversations with municipal officials, how to pull on the EC's values in the town. Again, the MS4 permit stuff that we're going to be talking about, the community education, the mapping tomorrow at noon, those are all really great opportunities for the EC to provide value added to the municipality. And so that's volunteer work that a mayor then doesn't have to find money for in the budget, honestly.
exactly.
And there's a great way to advertise by tapping into churches, synagogues, Rotary, YMCAs, to bring people into EC. So yeah, contact us and we can set up a brainstorming session.
Evan had asked a question. If 4 or more members of the EC are also on the green team, do green team meetings need to be advertised as an EC meeting for sunshine law purposes?
That one, I'm not certain. I would think the green team meetings would already be advertised themselves. And if they're listed as members of that, I don't know.
I would think technically not, because the green team is not established by ordinance. And so the Open Public Meetings Act, OPRA and OPMA, the Open Public Meetings Act, Open Public Records Act really apply to bodies that were established by ordinance. However, if you're having a green team meeting breaking out in the middle of an EC meeting, yes, you absolutely need to advertise it. I would say it's just a good idea to advertise it anyway, because you want to bring in more public. And so if you could get an interested public member to come by something that's on your agenda, then by all means advertise it, because if they're interested, that might mean eventually you've got a new volunteer. And so we know that we need more hands.
Thank you. Here's a question. They didn't give their name, but they want to know, are there any laws about getting paid for being chair? It's a ton of work, putting agendas and minutes together and any work in between, regulating meetings and the public at those meetings. All right. No, you cannot get paid for this, but you can share the wealth. You can have, it doesn't mean the chairperson has to do all the work. You know, maybe everybody gets a chance to take minutes once throughout the year, so you don't have to always do it.
Sometimes
Maybe
people pay for someone to take minutes. I was once at an environmental commission meeting where they had a paid person.
a paid town staff can be a
town
secretary,
staff
right?
person. And
right.
one time I went, and he was in high school, but he was, you know, getting some kind of stipend for showing up and taking minutes. And that does take a lot of load off of you, because I know that nobody wants to take minutes, and it's hard because when I personally, if I'm taking minutes, I don't participate in the way that I would if I were not taking minutes. So yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah. Thank you. Andy had asked, are there bylaws required to be done by NEC? Is it in the state statute?
I think we have to look that one up. I don't think
Yeah.
there are off the top of my head, but I think we have to look that one up.
Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily required, but Angic would always recommend it. It's a good idea to have, even
Yeah.
if they're very short and sweet, just saying, you know, just to cover yourself. But I don't know that you really legally have to do it, but we can check it out and let you know, Andy. Thank you. So here, Barty had asked, is the EC handbook and the Sunshine Law apply to a subcommittee like the community garden? I'm not sure what you mean by EC handbook, but maybe just EC, maybe the ordinance, I guess, but the Sunshine Law, I guess that answer, we can, somebody
Well,
want to jump in with
if it's
that?
a subcommittee that may not hit the threshold for quorum.
Right.
If
As long as it doesn't, it's not the majority.
That's the
it's
nice
fine.
thing about subcommittees, is you can kind of work, and then you show up and discuss the work that you've been doing the past month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of
Just-
commissions that we know of have a subcommittee to do site plan and development review. And then they present, you know, and they have a certain number that's below the quorum, because they sometimes need to meet more than once a month. So, okay, thank
Just
you.
a quick note about the handbook, just to clarify. So the EC handbook, which, tell me, is that on our website?
Yes, it is on the website.
Excellent. So the EC handbook, which is on our website, is really ANJAC guidance for environmental commission. So after doing this work and supporting ECs for more than 55 years, there are also references in there to statutory requirements. The last time we updated it was a few years ago. So anything new regarding the MS4 permit, again, which we're going to talk about tomorrow at noon with Dr. Chris Abrupta, is not in there, but it's best practices, guidance, references for you. It's not a state document, it's an ANJAC document.
Good. Okay, D. Roberts had asked if Environmental Commission funds can be allocated to create an independent website aside from the municipal site. He's been contemplating that idea. And the answer is, depends on what your town will allow you. I mean, you do not want to start a website or a social media page without making sure you have permission from your town, your governing body, or the township manager. So if they think you can have your own website, they probably would let you spend a little money on getting it set up. But I mean, would just be an individual case by case basis.
Yeah,
Anybody have anything else to add to that?
We did that in our town. We had a discussion before putting up the website. And before starting social media, just to make sure we agreed on what the parameters would be and what the purpose would be. But they did pay for the setting up of the website and then the annual fees. So
That's great.
that
I
was-
just want to note something in relationship to that, Liz. So one of the things that we advise ECs on is to really create that positive relationship with their municipal officials. And so Sheila
Awesome.
talked about that. We're going to talk about that throughout these sessions this week. The reason why that's so important is I want you to think about a different kind of relationship right now. So somebody else that you're close with, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mom, your best friend. If the only time you ever showed up with that person and the conversation was, let me tell you what you're doing wrong. This is your problem. This is how you need to do this better. That relationship isn't going to feel warm and fuzzy for a long time. So then when you really have to talk about the very hard things, it's impossible. So you want to have that positive relationship. You want to do things in concert with the blessing of your municipal officials whenever you can. So then when it comes down to really hard things like enforcement issues or ordinances that you think are being violated or trees that were cut down illegally, and you need enforcement action because you don't have authority, you don't have a badge, you can't go out and trespass on property. But when you need that, you've got that positive relationship to get those municipal officials to take action. So that's why we encourage those positive relationships to the maximum extent they can. So rogue websites, probably not, but separate websites with the blessing of the officials, sure.
Yeah. Okay, somebody else asked, do EC members have to be 18 or older in order to vote?
To vote in an election, yes. To vote on your EC, no.
Okay, Donna had says that her town council has refused her request to create an ERI. Yeah, that's not unusual, Donna, and a lot of it is probably to do with the fact that an ERI is usually done by a consultant and usually costs some money. So there are some suggestions we could give you offline. So maybe if you want to email us, including offering to spread it out over a couple of years so that the budget maybe be a couple thousand per year. But we can offer you some other advice if you would email us. But thank you. Good question.
And come to the April 13th event if you can, the in-person event that we're going to have. So we'll be advertising that, or already have started advertising that soon. We're going to have an EC come and talk about how they put together their digital ERI. And so there are some lessons learned there. I mean, we're in an age where there's so much information that's available, open source now, that we think that there are other pathways to getting this work done.
Exactly. Somebody asked, what do you do if the council refuses to allow associate members? If you have full appointment of all your members and alternates, anybody can attend your meeting and participate and talk. Yeah, you maybe want them to have the title of associate members, but that might not be a fight you want to stand on. That might not be something you want to argue about too much, in my opinion. What do you think, ladies?
Yeah, I mean, people can join and be part of your greater group of volunteers to help you with projects, and they'll be without having the title, but still be, actively involved in the EC, even if they don't have a role as quote as associate member.
Yeah, I would agree. If you've got some exceptional circumstances and you need some alternates, if you have somebody who's out on a disability leave for a while or sickness and you need an alternate, then maybe you push a little more. But otherwise, the title doesn't really mean a whole lot in terms of the EC being able to get work done.
Okay, we have one other question about the Sunshine Law. Is it a violation of the Sunshine Law to send an email to the head of the EC updating them about questions from a municipal official asking for an update about something in progress? So talking about a project or some work the EC is doing.
Well, I think
Yeah, so this depends on, oh, sorry, Sheila, go ahead.
I was going to say it depends on who, if you're just writing to the chair or if you're writing to the whole environmental commission. Because if it's just to the chair, that would be fine. And then you discuss it at your next meeting.
Yeah, and that it also depends on who you are. If you are a member of the public and you're emailing your EC, none of these regulations apply to the members of the public. So if you've got somebody who's a member of the public attending a council meeting and then emailing the whole EC and everybody who's elected or whoever, the rules don't apply to them. If you are an EC member then communicating, yeah, you should probably ask your chair, hey, this is what was said at this council, or this is my understanding of what was discussed at this council meeting. Can we add this to the agenda for next time? That's the appropriate route to go.
Perfect. We have people that Eugene had mentioned that they have a chair, vice chair, and a secretary, and that the secretary takes minutes. We've also seen where ECs assign everybody one meeting to take the minutes. As Sheila said, it gets tough because you don't really get to participate as well if you're trying to take minutes. The other thing I know some ECs do is they actually record the meetings, because some council rooms have that ability, and then you could do the minutes later. So if you have that ability to be able to type from out loud, but yeah. So there are all kinds of ways to do that, and maybe, you know, spread the wealth around so nobody has to do too much. Thank you, Jean.
I just want to mention also that Sheila brought up the Adopt a Drain program in the speech in her talk tonight. And I just wanted to make sure people are aware that getting that software actually can be paid for by your Clean Community money that you get from that all municipalities get. So it's a great way to use Clean Community money, and it reached some of the requirements on the MS4 program. So it hits a lot of buckets. So it's something that, you know, if your town is interested in, it's something you could propose to your governing body that as a way to use some of that Clean Community grant money.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and one
Cool.
quick note I just want to mention from one of our board members who sent a message to us. If you're having trouble getting your EC back together again, contact us. We'll come up with a game plan for you on and how to best do that. But neighboring ECs can also be advocates. And one of the requirements in the municipal separate storm sewer permits, the MS4 permits, is to develop these watershed management plans. And so those are going to be regional plans, and it's going to be important for municipalities to have some extent of cooperation with one another. And having ECs in all those municipalities is going to help a lot in terms of getting these plans done. The purpose is to try to improve water quality. And so ANJAC is involved in this work with the DEP and coming up with a template. So in the future, you know, not in the next 6 months, but in the future, we're going to be developing some pretty technical workshops to work with ECs and how you can input into these watershed management restoration plans.
Okay, I think we've covered all the questions, unless anybody else has something they want to add to the. I guess we want to thank everybody very much for taking your time in your evening. Well, we kept it to just an hour and 10 minutes, so. And I hope we'll see many of you tomorrow at noon, or tomorrow at 7, or Thursday at 7. And you will all get an email with the links to the recordings and all the presentations as soon as we can. Have a good
Great.
night, everybody.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Sheila. Thanks, Randy. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.